Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be diving into a quiet crisis that's quite literally happening right beneath our feet. But don't worry, we're also looking at a truly fascinating, scientifically backed remedy. Specifically, we'll be focusing on humic acid tablets and other solid formulations, like flakes and granules, supporting the healthy transformation of soil. We're going to zoom in on a powerful organic solution called Potassium Humate and see exactly how it's being used to heal overworked, degraded agricultural soils and basically bring them back to life.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the soil sickness crisis, meeting potassium humate, supercharging plant photosynthesis, beating agricultural stress, the ultimate yield factor, and finally, the future of farming.
All right, Section 1, the soil sickness crisis.
So I want you to think of agricultural soil kind of like a human digestive system, right? And right now, it's suffering from a really terrible diet. The results of this are actually pretty startling. Roughly 70%, yes, 70% of medicinal plants that rely on tuberous roots are developing serious sicknesses when they're planted in continuously farmed soil. So we've got this massive failure rate, and we really have to ask, why is this happening?
Well, the main culprit here is a phenomenon known in the agronomy world as the continuous cropping obstacle. Basically, when we plant the exact same crops in the exact same soil season after season, the plant roots leave behind these toxic exudates. And over time, those toxins just accumulate. They turn the soil highly acidic, they completely wipe out the delicate microbiome of beneficial bacteria, and they create this perfect, cozy breeding ground for aggressive, soil-borne fungal and viral diseases. The soil is essentially turning toxic to the very plants we're trying to grow.
Which brings us to Section 2, meet Potassium Humate. Now, to cure this extreme soil indigestion, we're introducing a highly standardized organic solution. What you're seeing here is an authorized certificate of analysis. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it's from a real-world 50,000 kilogram batch of potassium humate, manufactured as organic black flakes. This document is absolute proof that we are dealing with a legitimate, industrial-scale fertilizer.
Taking a look at the chemical specs from that specific batch really reveals why it's such a powerhouse. Notice how the organic matter content is over 80%. It's packing heavy doses of humic and fulvic acid plus potassium oxide for direct plant nutrients. But honestly, the real standout features are right at the bottom. A highly alkaline pH of 9 to 10, and it is completely water-soluble. That extreme solubility makes it incredibly efficient for modern agricultural tools like drip irrigation.
So remember that continuous cropping obstacle we were just talking about? The one that makes soil toxic and acidic? Look at this high contrast dynamic. When you introduce potassium humate flakes with that highly alkaline pH of 9 to 10, it acts as an immediate neutralizer. It buffers that toxic, acidic environment, restores the soil's organic richness, and really jump-starts the healing process for the soil's natural microbiome. Moving right along to Section 3, supercharging plant photosynthesis.
So the crucial point is this. Once the soil is neutralized, we start seeing profound effects on actual plant physiology. Recent hard botanical data looking at maize seedlings, that's corn, reveals a clear, optimal target, 100 milligrams per liter. When researchers tested a bunch of different concentrations of potassium fulvic acid as a direct foliar spray, this specific number emerged as the scientifically proven absolute optimal dose.
As you can see, the data forms a perfect bell curve. Across multiple metrics, plant performance peaks right at that 100 milligrams per liter mark. But, and this is super important, more is not always better. In fact, pumping the concentration all the way up to 500 milligrams per liter actually creates a stressful environment for the plant. It lowers stomatal openness and ends up inhibiting photosynthesis.
But man, when you hit that optimal 100 milligram sweet spot, the biological upgrades are massive. Net photosynthesis increases by nearly 38%. The transpiration rate jumps over 81%. And just look at this one. Stomatal conductance skyrockets by 93.41%. To translate that from strict botany into everyday language, that is basically the plant taking a massive, healthy, deep breath. It's opening its pores, pulling in over 61% more carbon dioxide, and just massively ramping up its energy production.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into beating agricultural stress.
Because, let's face it, nature isn't a perfect climate-controlled laboratory. Plants are facing harsh conditions out there every single day. Research highlights that fulvic acid, which is a key component here, acts as a powerful physiological regulator against these tough conditions. In one specific study, it actively helped tomato seedlings adapt to and survive severe low phosphorus stress. So let's do a quick so what check. What does that mean on the ground? It means that when soil nutrients temporarily drop or the weather suddenly turns harsh, farmers lose fewer crops because the plants have the internal metabolic strength to just weather the storm.
Now for Section 5, the ultimate yield factor.
Improving a plant's photosynthesis is fantastic science, sure, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the bottom line that every farmer and gardener cares about, the actual crop yield. When researchers applied potassium humate to corn crops, they documented an absolutely incredible 24.79% total yield increase over the control group. Think about that. A nearly 1/4 boost in total harvest? That dramatically shifts agricultural economics.
And this brilliantly illustrates something important. The 25% boost doesn't just come from overall weight, it physically changes the architecture of the plant. The treated corn yielded almost 58 more grains on every single ear, and those grains were significantly denser. The plants themselves had thicker stems, they grew taller, and the rate of those frustrating bare tops on the cobs decreased by over 3%. Healing the soil microbiome and supercharging photosynthesis directly translates into more physical, harvestable food.
And the best part is, this isn't just some experimental lab theory anymore, it's a highly scalable, practical solution. Check out these standardized technical guidelines published by Liaoning Province for facility-grown tomatoes. They map out the exact steps, treating the soil base before planting with heavy organic humic acid, and then taking full advantage of that 100% water solubility to apply 4 to 8 kilograms per mu directly through modern drip irrigation lines as the fruit actually expands. It's precise, it's standardized, and it is completely ready for commercial farming.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, the future of farming. We started off talking about soil that was quite literally sick. But as you've seen, by introducing an organic, water-soluble potassium humate compound, we can neutralize that acidity, supercharge the plant's ability to breathe, and produce significantly larger yields. Which kind of leaves us with this final thought. If a naturally derived organic black flake can heal our degraded soil and massively boost our food supply without relying entirely on synthetic chemicals, isn't it time we fundamentally change how we farm? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gave you a whole new perspective on the ground beneath your feet.